welcome. So glad you're here. I love this time of year. I love the feel of in the air. It's a little bit crisper, a little bit cooler, and I love making fall decor for my home. Probably as much as I do Christmas. So, my first one, I'm just going to be using this wood pumpkin from Dollar Tree, and I am not going to mess with that other side. So, if you wanted to use either side, you certainly could. But I'm going to flip it over to the back side, and I didn't have to sand it down or anything. It was a nice neutral cardboard color. And I painted that with my, oh, y'all, I'm obsessed. Every time I get a new paint color, I'm obsessed with it. This is DIY apothecary paint. It is a gorgeous color. So I did one good coat of that, and then I'm going into my IOD seed catalog booklet because this is going to be our Victorian look. Okay, that's what I'm going to call this, is our Victorian, maybe a French provincial. But this little girl, oh, she's beautiful, y'all. So what I do is with IOD, you have a grid to your transfer, so that helps you line it up. So once I lined it up where I thought it was at the middle of that stem, then I'm just using some masking tape up top. I flip it up and pull off that backing. Then I'm going to take my little transfer tool. I start around the edges. I do like to go around and kind of buff some out before I start peeling up. That's just my preference. It seems to work good that way with me. I know some people start right at the corner and start peeling up, but I normally do a little bit more, and then I'm going to go and peel it. IOD transfers, y'all, they lay down so nicely, so you're not going to have any problem with it. If you do miss a spot, just don't pick your transfer up until you know everything is off that initial vellum paper. And then you can lay it right back down in the same spot and get that little piece, whatever you missed, just lay that right back down. So I'm just going around, and then I'm going to pull it up. Then I'm going to use that top sheet to what we call burnish it. Now this is important because this is going to lay that transfer piece down into your project, because sometimes you'll notice that the edges might be raised a little bit, so you just want to go around and make sure everything lays down good. Now, when I have a larger piece, I don't really like to rub that sheet across. I more or less do what I'm doing now. I lay it down and take my hand and then rub it across. Going into my stash here, because the little pumpkin stem, I don't want to just paint it. I don't want to just put yarn around it. I want to do something different. So I'm using some barbecue skewers from Dollar Tree, and I'm using my little miter shears. I love these as well. And I'm kind of measuring and laying them down and going to cut them. I just cut some, and it happened to end up perfectly what I needed. But I'm going to stain these with some wax here. And the way I do it is I just take a little baby wipe, a little wet wipe, and then you can see I'm putting it in the wax, and then I'm just going to go and wipe that all over. That way it's not quite as dark and not quite as concentrated. So I'm just going to stain all of these with my antiquing wax, and then I'm simply going to hot glue those around the top. Now you can see I had a little bit of space at the top, so I cut my very last little skewer. I only had one left that I had stained. I'm going to cut it down and lay it across the top. You're not going to see that right now, but you will see that towards the end. So that's going to be my little stem. Then I'm coming in with some ribbon that I have, and I'm going to make a simple little bow. I kind of do the awareness ribbon. I find my center first. Now, you're always going to end up cutting more off those tails, but find your center, and you're not going to waste so much of your ribbon. And then I'm just going to hot glue this down. And then I did find a button in my little stash from Temu. These little wooden buttons are so cute. The colors match perfectly. So then I'm just going to hot glue that down in the middle of my ribbon there. I'm simply tying back on the jute string that was on there for the hanger. And then you'll see that little stem off there to the side, that little piece, that's going to go across the top. I didn't show you me gluing it, but that's where it is. And then there's my little button pack. Just going to hot glue that down, and we're done. So you have to let me know, what do you think of this one? I think she is absolutely adorable. our next project, and the next three, well, the remaining three, are going to be utilizing these Dollar Tree foam pumpkins. Now, one of them I had in my stash for a while back, but the ones that you get now, they are hollow in the center. So you're just going to cut out the stem, and you're going to cut a hole bigger than what you think you're going to need if you're using chunky yarn. And that's what I'm using. It's called the Yarn Bee. I think it's Eternal Bliss, and I get this from Hobby Lobby. But this is like you do those chunky hand knit blankets. I've done a couple of those in my home. This is the yarn that you do for that. So you need a large hole in the top and the bottom, and I promise you, you're going to fill them up, because when you get close to the end, it's going to get where it's going to be hard to push that yarn through, and I actually had to use my scissors to help me. So doesn't matter if you start inside or outside, it doesn't matter. So you're simply going to hot glue to begin with and wrap it. Now, I did find I only wanted to hot glue up at top and the bottom, but then my ribbon wanted to move on my pumpkin because it's kind of slick. So I did have to glue in the middle too, just to keep my yarn going well. So I'm simply going to work it around, pushing it in, pulling it out, hot gluing it, pushing it in, pulling it out, hot gluing it. You get the picture over and over. Now, when I did get close to the end, I will tell you that I ended up cutting the final pieces because they just weren't going to wrap and lay down in there right, because it was like a little triangle piece, and I already had filled up the top and filled up the bottom, so I just took some pieces, cut, and lay them in there. You just want to make them where they will lay good down on your pumpkin so that you can't tell where the ends are, if that makes sense. Y'all, this feels so good. This yarn is so soft because it is made for like those chunky blankets. So it is so soft. This pumpkin is gorgeous. I'm going to call this my, let's say it's cottage shabby chic. I'm going to say that's what this is. Now, I'm utilizing this floral pick. I've used part of this before. This is from Walmart. They've upped their games with these picks. If you find any in your local Walmart, grab them. They're so versatile. So what I'm pulling out now, these stems, it reminds me of lamb's ear. I don't know if that's what it is meant to be, but that's what I'm taking it as. So I'm going to use this whole little piece here. So I'm going to stick it down in the center and hot glue it to give it some leverage to stick in there. And then I'm going to go around, and the leaves that will glue down and look nice, I'm going to glue those around, and I'm going to leave that little middle stem poking out there. It just looks so cute. Okay, now these are from Dollar Tree. These are the little wood stems. I haven't seen these lately, but they had these a few years ago. You might can grab you something other at your local craft store. But they had these a couple years ago, and it was a big bag, so I've had lots of them left over. But you know, any kind of little spool, piece of a spindle, anything will look nice for a stem. So get creative. If you don't have anything in your stash, just look around and you'll find you do have something other. I'm just using a small yarn, a ribbon, and a larger ribbon, and I just made a simple bow, double bow with those. I'm cut that down, and y'all, this was in my stash. I thought about it. It's like cameos, but it's flowers. I ended up with this from Hobby Lobby on a deep clearance. There were 3 of them, so I've already used one for one project, and I don't even remember what I used it for. Put this in there. Oh, doesn't this make it so cottagecore, shabby chic? I love this pumpkin. I'm going to find it hard to part with it. I already made a different one to put in the booth because this might be sitting up on my mantle. Let me know what you think. Project 3. Well, okay, we're going to call this our Gothic or our dark and moody category. See, we got something for everyone here. This is oh so simple. Okay, so another one of these pumpkins. Cut that stem out. Now, you don't want the hole quite as big because we're not wrapping anything around it, okay? So we don't need it quite as big, but you are going to need that stem off of there, so you're going to need a little hole. I used 2 coats of a black chalk paint, and this just happens to be Caviar from Dixie Belle. This is a nice, pretty black, okay? It's a nice neutral black. Now, I took some of this creepy cloth, they're calling it. You could use cheesecloth if you had cheesecloth. You know what? You could probably even go into your first aid kit and get some daggum bandage and tea stain it or coffee stain it or something and use that. I'm going to say you could use that because it's just gauzy feeling. I want to just lay it over the top a little bit. I'm not going to cover this pumpkin completely, and I'm going to make like little edges around it. So I just want it like a drapey feel from the center. So I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to glue up the edges like I want. Leave some kind of hanging down. The good thing about this cloth is it is stretchy, so it will pull. So once you hot glue it up there, you can sit there and play with it still. So I like the looks of this. This is so super easy. So then after I got that done, in my stash from last year, or maybe even 2 years ago, but they still have these because I've seen them. It's these little black branches that they have at Dollar Tree for the Halloween season. Okay, I'm just going to cut off some of those. I didn't use quite that whole thing. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want them. I'm going to glue some sticking up and some kind of laying down. But instead of leaves, because I don't want to use leaves because it doesn't feel like it needs leaves. You know, it's that dark and moody. It needs something dark and moody, not pretty little leaves. So you could certainly put some leaves down there. I would paint them black or paint them maybe a dark purple something, but just to give them that whole feel, okay? Don't throw off your feel here. And then to the left of my pumpkin, he's kind of face down, but it's just one of those little skulls that come in like a pack of 8 or 10 or something other from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to hot glue him down there. Oh, he's so cute. Let me know what you think of this one. Last project, you guys. Oh my gosh, these pumpkins are so versatile. The possibilities are endless. You can truly make it your style, whatever you wanted to do. I even thought about doing like pine cones and pulling the little edges off and hot gluing them on one. That would be a truly rustic feeling. That would be so cute too. I went into my stash and I have this cloth. Now, I love the birds. I will say the birds were too big because I am just going to rip strips of it. If you use cloth in your crafting, you have got to get you one of those little mini heat presses. I love that thing. Anyhow, you can't see what I'm doing here. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of off camera, but I'm just cutting slits at the bottom so that I can just pull and rip that cloth up. Okay, that's the easiest way to get that. I'm not worried about it being straight. I want it frayed a little bit because this is our farmhouse look, so I want it more natural. I hate that you can't tell that the bird parts are birds, really, but there are some butterflies on here, and I was able to get some pieces where you could see the butterfly. All I'm going to do is go around and hot glue down these strips. So just kind of measure what you need, and then here's the finished project where I hot glue them, and I did overlap them a little bit, okay? So, and again, if you got some frayed edges, don't worry about that because that's kind of the look. Let that be. This little stem came off of a pumpkin from Dollar Tree, I'm sure. Anyhow, I keep all this stuff. That's what I do. That's what we crafters do, right? We keep stuff because you never know when you're going to use it. I'm just giving it one good little coat of buttercream from Dixie Belle. That's a nice neutral creamy color because of the ribbon that I'm using here is a creamy color. That's why I did that. And then I did go back and distress it a little bit. You could add some rub and buff to it, however you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it this little distressed. I got me a simple little one ribbon, did a simple little bow, hot glued that down, and then I'm going to take some hot glue around this little stem. I'm going to push him down in the center, and then I'm hot gluing him down in there. And y'all, this one's done because really you could keep adding if you wanted to, but there's no need. It's just adorable as it is. Let me know which one's your favorite. If you're new to my channel, I would so greatly appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you'll know when I upload. I do try to upload weekly, give or take 6, 7, 8 days. But anyhow, I would love to have you part of my channel. Thank you guys so much. Y'all are awesome.